It is the Rated RR Podcast, episode 45, and we've got a great guest along with us. Rish Roshan Rai here with Ziaul Raushan, my partner in crime. Raushan, very quickly, how are you doing? Have you enjoyed the football that we've had over the weekend?
Yeah, totally. I'm so excited that live football is back, and it was a great game as well, watching two possible title contenders slug it out and then Lion City Sailors coming out on top. On that end, it's great that the guest you've got lined up is going to tell us much more about the Sailors. So Rosh, why don't you set the scene for us?
Yeah, we've got a great guest from one of those title contenders, title favorites in my eyes. It's the Chief Executive Officer of the Lion City Sailors, Chun-Liang. Chun-Liang, man, it's great to have you on the show. You know, you're sort of 15 months into the role as a CEO. The club has just celebrated its second year anniversary, and then you guys have gone on to win the Community Shield. Great start to the season, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, once again, thanks for having me over here. And yes, a great start of the season. I would say that it's an encouraging start. I wouldn't want to use the word positive because, you know, nowadays positive doesn't connote good. Yeah, but a great start, you know, an encouraging one, and we are ready for the season.
I think on that note, it really sets the tone, right, in terms of encouraging, positive. I get what you mean, but Chun-Liang, we just want to roll it back to when this opportunity, Roshan touched on it there 15 months ago, you came into this job as CEO of Lion City Sailors. How did this opportunity to join the Sailors or come on board, shall we say, come about?
I would say that it's quite amazing because I received a phone call one fine day in 2020. I received a phone call from my friend, you know, saying that he wants to connect me to one of his another friend, saying that you know I may be suitable for a role. So I said, okay, why not? So his contact called me and told me about the job. You know, they're looking for a CEO of a football club. So it was like, ooh, is this real? And we had a long conversation, and I would say that lucky that the phone call took place 2 years ago and not today. Otherwise, I would have hung up the phone and said, this must be a scam call. Yeah. But yeah, amazing opportunity to be with Lion City Sailors. And you know, after the phone call and you know a few interviews, and I was selected, you know, once in a lifetime opportunity to be part of football.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating the way it all came about. And you know, I mean, when you're going through those interviews and the processes like that, was it explained to you what the initial goal is going to be when you know this project was being started?
Actually, well, I received a phone call in August. In fact, back in earlier, like 6 months, like February, I heard about Lion City Sailors. So I said, wow, you know, pretty good. Yeah, but I didn't know that they will come knocking on my door and asking me whether I'm keen to take on the role of a CEO. Yeah.
Chun-Liang, sorry, just to jump in here, you mentioned 6 months prior to the call, you already heard of Lion City Sailors. This is just for my own personal knowledge. Were you already an avid football fan, already following the local league almost?
In fact, I would say that I'm quite a football fanatic. You know, back in my days when in my secondary school and polytechnic, I'll go for every single game at the National Stadium. You know, as a student, you pay $1. And I will sit right next, you know, right opposite the grandstand at the gallery where the wave conductor is to the red umbrella. For those who remember, I'll be there at about 5:30. The game will kick off at 8. You know, reading my newspaper, you know, eating my dinner, and many a times, you know, I was smuggled in air horn, you know, and a few times got caught and my air horn confiscated, yeah, and throwing confetti, you know. During games. So I've been following local football for a long time. Yeah. And yeah, so I think that's the reason why they contacted me.
I mean, it's brilliant watching from the outside, right? As an observer of Singapore football, as a fan of Singapore football, to see the way the Lion City Sailors have grown. You know, I remember they're coming about back in 2020, and you know there were people saying that you know the name sounds a bit interesting. The Lion City Sailors is taking over from Home United and developing this brand new club. Now you've been in there for 15 months now. Where exactly is the club now on its journey over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I would say that we have been rather successful on several fronts. You know, when the club was established, you know, really the goal really is to really achieve a result on the pitch, and really at the end of it is to reinvigorate local football. And I think beyond just the result on the pitch, we are also looking at setting the bar, raising the professionalism, and also contributing positively to the football fraternity as well as the community. And as I look back on our journey over the past 2 years, I would say that we have set a very strong foundation. Yeah. And in terms of achievement, we were the champion last season, and we just won the Community Shield. And this season, we will be competing in AFC Champions League. And I would say, in terms of setting up and establishing the backroom staff, we have a strong sports science department, medical team. Our analysts are there, top notch, and in terms of fan engagement, we are going all out and even contributing to the community that we are in. And if you look at the youth development, that's very important. We have seen good results. We have achieved 1 star, AFC 1 star for academy. We have just have another batch of scholars. So today we have 2 batches of scholars. And in fact, last year, our senior batch of scholars, they went to Europe for 6 weeks. I think they did pretty well, pretty decent. And these are some of the achievements that we have, over the past 2 years. And not forgetting, our training center is in the making. We should be looking at operationalizing it mid of the year. So very exciting.
I'm very jealous, I'm very jealous when I look at what's going on these days at the Lion City Sailors, because I used to play for the COE at Home United for 4 or 5 years. And it was a great club, but we never had the kind of opportunities that the kids these days at Lion City Sailors have, man. So Raushan, I don't know, man, I'm feeling jealous. Maybe you take the next question.
I mean, it's as a fan, it's outstanding to watch the growth over the past 2 years. Chun-Liang, I think you touched on everything. The one thing you didn't touch on, which I particularly am so happy to see, is the website. I think the Lion City Sailors website is the benchmark for other clubs to follow in terms of content that you guys are creating. You talk about all your departments. I was just catching up on the medical team. I think Kak Fiza had a article released on her. It's excellent. All that adds to the ecosystem, right? Chun-Liang, is all well and good talking about the good stuff. I would like to know what are some challenges you faced in the past 2 years, because clearly it couldn't be all rosy, right?
Yeah, of course. It's never easy. I think, as the season roll on, there are a lot of things that we need to implement. And I always tell people that we are actually trying to change the tire as the car is moving. Lots of maybe because we are trying to change the propeller as a ship. It's swimming. Yeah, so it's challenging. So there are some of the challenges that I would say that we face is really meeting up with the expectation from our fans, from the fraternity. So success don't come overnight. And the expectation on sailors, to do well, to get the result, is always there. Yeah, so in our first season, I thought we did pretty well, getting 3rd. And last season, we were the champions. So it's always a balance between meeting expectation of the fans, the fraternity, and versus what we really want to achieve. And that is one. The other challenge that we face is also COVID, right? I mean, COVID complicates a lot of our effort. I think particularly affected is actually our academy. Our boys, for like 18 months, they have been training in groups of 5, in groups of 2, in groups of 5, in groups of 2, no training. So, and I think this has particularly been bad for them. So that's why we had the 6-week training for them late last year. And glad that they did reasonably well. Because, when we look at development, right, we are looking at long term, we are looking at the youth development. When the rest of the world are training, the rest of the world in the same age group are growing, boys are still playing 2v2 or 5v5 or training in groups of 2. So these are some of the challenges that we face that we have to overcome, in order for the team, for the club to progress.
Yeah, it's been a tough environment for lots of people, and in the football world, especially as you can imagine, academy players not being given an opportunity to really play 11-a-side matches or even train properly. But I want to pick up on the point that you mentioned earlier about the fans and the supporters. How encouraging has it been, in terms of the support and the interest from the fans?
Well, I must say that our fans, they have been fantastic. We couldn't ask for more support from them. And we could see from last year, the demand of fans coming to watch our game, the support that they have given and things. In fact, we were a bit concerned that we are not able to meet their demands because we can only have 1,000 in fans. Hopefully, with the latest lifting of restriction, we could see more fans. We can have more fans joining us for games. So this year, we learned along the way. We are thinking what is the best way to manage our fans, and also to show appreciation to them. So we are constantly looking at it. And I would say that this year we started by launching our membership. So in fact, we said that, hey, maybe we launch our membership. Let's keep it to 500. It's not more, it's good, because we need to make sure that, when they come, we are able to, to engage them. So we open up 500. In fact, they all snap up within 24 hours. Really?
Wow.
Within 24 hours. So we launched last Monday. And we sold our season ticket. Yeah. And because the fans said, I want to come, I want to be able to guarantee a seat. So we sold our season ticket. So in fact, we have sold about more than 200 season pass already.
Wow.
Up to today. So we told them you are guaranteed a seat. So I think while we want to have as many fans as we can and make as many fans as happy as we can, but we also need to make sure that we are able to handle and manage. Yeah.
You talk about it there, the tickets getting snapped up very quickly, memberships getting very snapped up very quickly as well. Obviously, the interest in local football has been peaked, right, with the rise of the Sailors. I just want to get your thoughts on what do you think Sailors' rise has had, the impact it's had on the clubs around it in Singapore as well.
I guess I would say positively, we are able to bring the fans back to the stadium. I think that's good, and also to, in a way, create greater interest in the Singapore Premier League and also Singapore football. And I think this has positive impact, not just to LCS and also to some of the other clubs in SPL. And in fact, we also noticed greater media interest, not just locally, but also from within the region. They're actually interested in what we are doing and also what SPL is. So I think that's a very good start and a spin-off from what the LCS is doing. And if you look at this season, it's amazing. Look at the signing from the other clubs. Signing, right? Tanadari Lee, joining Alberex, and we have Andres Moritz. Joining,
yes, Moritz.
Yeah, exciting player joining Hougang. And not forgetting, we have never seen this before, a longer contract that offering is fantastic. We've never seen this before. And if you look at social media, I believe also that we see a stronger push and also, stronger presence from all the clubs in SPL, in terms of the league, in terms of the players, and also Singapore football. So I believe these are positive spin-off that we see from what LCS is doing.
Oh, it's been a breath of fresh air, and like what you quite rightly mentioned is, you guys are setting the standards, and other clubs are trying to keep up with you. Difficult, but they're being creative about it, and they're trying to make sure that you guys are not taking all the attention away. But come on, Chun-Liang, I gotta ask you this question, right? You're a CEO, you've been around other clubs and their chairman and people in the management positions. Do you sometimes get a sense that perhaps there's a little bit of jealousy or some negativity towards the Lion City Sailors and the project?
I will say that my relationship with all the club's chairman and also the club's official has been good. We catch up quite often. In fact, every time before a game, I will make a point to get in touch with the chairman. Maybe we could have coffee, maybe we could have drinks after the game. I think for Desmond, every time after the game, we will drop by one of the pub to have a drink. So I would say that it is good. I guess, understandably, when LCS come in, when we have all the good players, there's always this challenge that the other clubs are facing, and we understand. And I wouldn't say that I feel a sense of jealousy. I would say that that perhaps because of this, it kind of spur the other club to also look at how they can raise the bar. I think that's important. And in fact, when I interact with the clubs, I always ask them, how can we work together? How can LCS help the club? And when Tampines was playing in ACL last season, we all should be supporting them. I think this year, same thing, when Tampines and Hougang playing in AFC Cup, we should all, rally behind them, support them, and in whatever ways and means that we can, because after all, they're all representing Singapore football.
Well, I think that's excellently said, right? We should rally behind the local teams. Just going back to the point, Desmond and Chun-Liang in a pub, that will make a great podcast, by the way. But let's move on, shall we, to your role as CEO on a day-to-day. I'd just like to know what your involvement is like in the recruitment process, because we've seen LCS splash the cash almost in the past few years. What's your role in all those recruiting?
I guess for players, for the football aspect, is very much driven by Coach Kim. He's the man. He knows what he wants, and he's supported by the very strong technical team, and also our data analysts. Looking for the right players, looking for the right technical staff. So a lot of the decision that we make together will be very much based on the data of the players, of the coach. Thereafter, with that, we decide whether this is a person, this is the right player for the team, and we go ahead and start the negotiations. Not always easy, but that's a process. And when it comes to football, it is head coach.
So are you? I'm not familiar with your model in terms of transfer committees, or whether you're a sporting director or things like that. In the world of football, sporting directors, maybe they deal with the negotiations, as you mentioned. Are you someone who drives those negotiations, or do you sort of delegate that to someone in the team?
Actually, a sporting director is a Badri. So he's a GM.
You just updated his LinkedIn. I saw it.
I asked that question because I thought you were going to give him a shout out, so he'll be happy about this now.
Yes. So I think he's very experienced. He has all the network to all the agent, doing a fantastic job. And I think that's where we want to grow our club to be. So we want, like I said, I told Badri that although you're a general manager, I want you to really focus on football, because the football part, the growth, and and is enough to keep his playful. So he is actually our sporting director. So he drives everything. He talks to the agent. So he will wake up at 2 a.m. and Zoom with in Europe, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Then at appropriate juncture, I will come in, speak to the agent, speak to the player. And he will negotiate the transfer deal, the package, and that. And even when the players is in Singapore, sometimes the agent will come along, and then we'll engage the agent. So that's his role. So
Karen, no, sorry to interrupt, but I just had to ask, because with names like, you guys have really pushed the boat out with the signings here. I mean, Kim Shin-Wook, outstanding, big name on the continent, and and then you've got Maxime Lestienne coming in as well. Enrique there, of course. Last year you signed Lopez. Look, I mean, when you're talking to these guys, is it a challenge trying to sell the Lion City Sailors project to them? How do you go about that?
Well, actually, it's not really that difficult. But I think what's the most important when we sell the project to them is about our commitment and our ambition. And we show it with the investment that we put in, the infrastructure, the youth development, and of course, with us winning the SPL and us playing AFC Champions League, it makes it easier for us to convince some of these players to come. And actually, the other plus point is that Singapore is in itself is a great place for them, for their family, in terms of education for the kids, the security, the safety, So these two are our selling points to our players.
And Chun-Liang, you touched on it there, having to wake up at 2-3 a.m. for Zoom calls with foreign players and stuff like that. I mean, kudos to Badri for doing that. In terms of discussing with local players and foreign players, does your strategy almost differ? Because I guess the local players know of the Sailors. So how does that approach change for you?
I guess there's no difference when we talk about whether it's a local player or foreign player, because it is the same vision, it is the same ambition. And in fact, for our local players, I would say that they play an even bigger role, because they are actually our role model for for our young and young Singaporean who dreams to be part of football. So they see this Singaporean, playing professionally, and enjoying the game, and they know that if they can be there, I can be there. So they play an important inspirational role for our young footballer. So they must buy the LCS dream, and not just a brand. And we want to work together to ensure that we achieve the vision together.
Now, Chun-Liang, I've got to ask this question because the majority of your players, a lot of your players make up quite a large number of the Singapore national team. So there's some suggestions amongst observers of Singapore football that say LCS, they're stockpiling national team players. It could have an impact on the national team. What do you say to sort of that issue? Yeah,
I guess the word stockpiling is inevitable, for fans, for the fraternity to talk about it. But actually, you think about it, there are also benefits, for them to be part of us, because, over here when they train with the best, they train under the best. Our demand, our expectation on them, how we grow them physically, technically, tactically. So these are actually, something that will benefit the national team player. And actually, what is important is also that when they come here, there are a lot more competition for places. They need to really go out to prove themselves. So they won't get too comfortable. They need to prove themselves so that they can be the first 11, playing day in, day out, match in, match out. So that's actually pretty good for the national team player. But I acknowledge that in terms of game time, it will be limited. But this season, if you look, I counted, we will easily play 40 games, maybe 40 games. And with the number of games, including the very tight FIFA windows, and we have many international competition coming. In fact, I guess it's important that the coach will look at rotating a player, but all this are up to the technical team. I will not interfere, but I guess everyone should have sufficient play time this year. Yeah. Okay. And of course, if you think about it, hopefully over the next 1 to 2 years, we could see more club having the same ambition as us, having privatized, having another competitive team, so that the national team player will be spoiled for choice, stay in LCS or another club, and I think it will be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, that's I'm convinced. I'm convinced as to the reason why. And also, I just want to pick up a point. You said 40 games, so you're expecting 28 games in the league. You are expecting a cup run as well as the ACL competition. Okay. Okay, no pressure.
We played one game already. Yeah. So,
okay.
Right. ACL is 6 games. Singapore minimum 3 games.
Yeah.
And we've progressed. I think it's probably about 40 games.
Yeah. Fair enough. You touched on it there. The coach is ultimately the one who decides who are the 11 that go out on the pitch, or 20 in the match day squad, right? Just going back to when Aurelio Vidmar left the job, it must have been almost turbulent times for the Sailors, right? Because he was supposed to spearhead their project. But then your guys went out and got Kim Do-Hoon, a manager of great pedigree. Why did the club decide on Kim Do-Hoon?
Actually, it was pretty easy criteria, but hard to find. 3 things. One is proven track record. I think that's important at the highest level, right?
Of course.
Experience in Asia Champions League. That's important. Wow. And the third one that we are looking at is a more modern and progressive style of coaching. Because you look at the young generation of players, look at how football is developed. We feel that we need someone with the modern pedagogy, someone who is more progressive. So these were the 3 criteria, and Coach Kim Do-Hoon fits very well in his, all these 3 criteria.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I was able to watch him quite closely. I used to watch the K-League quite a bit when I was at Ulsan. Unfortunately, he missed out on the title a couple of seasons, but he went all the way in the AFC Champions League. Now, that is a competition I'm really excited about in terms of Line City Sailors and how you guys do there. Unfortunately, it didn't go too well for Tampines Rovers last time out, but hopefully you guys will be able to do better. Where does it rank in terms of your list of priorities this season? How important is the AFC Champions League to the Line City Sailors?
Actually, I would say that it's very important. It's our first foray into the competition, and actually this is where the success will reinvigorate Singapore football. When the Singapore club plays in Asia Champions League, I'm quite sure the whole nation will rally behind the club. Just like how we rally behind Tampines. I was watching every single game. I was texting Desmond, we got a chance, it's definitely a very tough competition. It's the best in Asia, competing. So we see this very important, and I guess we have already assembled the best team that we could for this season. So, but in such competition, experience count, and it will take a while for us to get comfortable. It will take for a while for us to be able to handle the pressure. But of course, that's not an excuse for us to do badly. But the good thing is that we have a few players who are at that level. Shino, has played in ACL. In fact, Haris has himself played in ACL before with the coach. We have Diego, we have Maxime, who has played top European football. So some of these players were very important to guide the team and to bring the experience, to the team. But maybe I should take this opportunity to ask Roshan. You have always been covering APL. What do you think? Sorry, I'll ask you the question. What do you think?
No problem. I wasn't expecting this.
I've been waiting for a guest like this. Well done.
We need to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, I played in it all those years ago with Singapore Armed Forces.
Yes, AFC, right?
Yeah, and the level of competition was incredible, right? But the experience is wonderful. I mean, it's unfortunate that in this day and age it's COVID, so you guys are probably going to have to play in a bubble in just one sort of city, whereas previously we had that experience. But it is going to be really, really challenging. But you know what? I mean, it looks to me the way you guys have built the squad that you're taking this really seriously. It's not just a case of we qualified, we're going to try and do our best and see what happens. But you've brought in foreign players with, Lestienne has got Europa League experience. He's played in a competition. Even Pedro is playing in that competition with Vitória Guimarães. So you've also got a strong local base. So I think with the foreign players, I don't expect any difficulties for them. But that local base is going to come up against some really top tier sides, and I guess it really helps you guys that you've got international level players in there. You got Singapore players in there, so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really, really excited about it, Chun-Liang. I mean that's my take on it. That's my take on it.
That's good to hear a man who has played in the competition giving us his thoughts on the competition. Chun-Liang, moving on away.
Oh, hang on, sorry. One more thing. The gauntlet was set by us, thrown down by us back in 2010, SAFFC, Singapore's first ever win in a competition. I'm throwing that challenge to the Lion City Sailors now to be the next Singaporean club to pick up a win in the AFC Champions League.
So more than a win and a draw, right? I think that season.
A win and a draw. That's right. And we didn't finish bottom, so.
Hey, Chun-Liang's football trivia is excellent, man. Like straight away, he knows win and a draw and stuff like that. Any quiz, I'm going to bring you along, Chun-Liang. Moving away from ACL, we wish the Lion City Sailors all the very best in that voyage this year, right? But moving on to LCS as a whole, some critics might suggest that it's sort of easy to do what LCS have done with the finances available to the club. What is your take on that, Chun-Liang?
Actually, even with all the finances that you want, it's not always easy, to achieve the result. So we need to actually invest correctly in the right area, invest in the right talent at the right time, and also the right environment. You create the right environment. It's not about just throwing in money and expecting results. It's not easy. In fact, I would say that our journey, we adopt a certain strategy. What we want to do is with the investment, we must dream big. I think that's important. But we start small and we start fast. And even if we fail fast and we learn fast and we move on. I think that this is a strategy that we have been looking at. And we look at it, we need to be, a lot of things that we are doing will be the first time that, probably in Singapore football we are doing. So we need to be very brave. We need to be very bold. But of course, we need to make sure that we are not miraculous. So that's what we do. And areas that they're already established, be a fast follower. And areas that, that's new, like, sports science, medicine, we talk about data analytics, we want to be a trailblazer so that we set the bar and for others to follow. So like what I told all my staff, that with forest investment, we cannot just be good. It's not good enough. We need to be great in everything we do. It's really great. Otherwise, we will have disappoint our chairman. Yeah, and you think about it. I think this is the part where it is exciting to be part of the project. There will be critics, but very clearly what we want to achieve. We go for it, and we achieve it. I think that's what we are excited about in this club.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating because I hear from some parties out there that actually what you guys are doing in terms of player scouting, in terms of research and things like that, it's up to par with what teams like Borussia Dortmund are doing, and on that level. So it's fascinating to see. And I mean, there's been lots of investment into the club on and off the pitch. There are some questions being asked about whether that sort of spending is sustainable. What is the plan with regard to that?
Of course, the current spending is a lot. So Forest has invested heavily. So the same thing is that I told my staff that whatever that we do, we must make sure that we are prudent. We don't spend. We spend only when we need, and we make sure that every investment there's value for money. So that's something that I hold very dearly, and I want my team to look at. But of course, if you look at the sustainability in the longer run, as the club gets more successful, as we establish our presence, our brand better, we could look at commercial, sponsorship. In fact, some of our transfer, or including our academy talent, when they show potential, they can play in Europe, they can play in top Asia club. So some of this transfer may also bring us some revenue that can help sustain what we want to do in the club. And in fact, I think this is something that across the world the biggest club are looking at. And today, what is important for us is to set the right structure, the right foundation, so that we can, in the future, enjoy success, and that could eventually help us, manage the spending in a more sustainable manner.
I look forward to that transfers and all that. Got me excited because I think it'll be nice to a lot of $1 million players coming into the league. It'll be nice to create a $1 million Singaporean player going out. Yeah. Imagine the excitement amongst all of us. Chun-Liang, just moving on, you touched on it there earlier, right? About LCS has led the way. Trailblazer was the word you used in terms of privatization. In your view, how can Singapore football encourage more investment into teams or into the league even?
I guess what is important is for LCS to demonstrate that value in the product. So, what we have done over the past 2 years, slowly, hopefully, we are able to be the catalyst for many other company or organization to want to invest and also privatize the club. I think that's important. And actually having more investment in the league will only help our cause, because we don't want to be a club that is playing, at a level where the rest of the club are not able to keep up. So we want to have at least 2 to 3 clubs very similar to LCS. Then I think with the competition, it will bring the level of football up. I think that's what we want as a whole, and also make the SPL more exciting and more attractive, not just to the local players, also to foreigners and also the fans all over the world.
What are some of the challenges that you foresee, Chun-Liang, in the near future in terms of growing LCS even more?
Actually, I would say that what is important that many of you will not see is how do we sustain the success.
Yeah.
Right. So that's important, because today what I've emphasized a lot on is how do we build a strong foundation such that the club, the department does not depend on just one person. And actually in fact for this year, what I'm going to push a lot is really to grow local capabilities, because that we have foreign coaches, we have foreigners that comes in with all the specialization they have. I think it is important that as a fraternity, we grow the capability. We bring in people, not just footballer, we bring in people with the right expertise and like-minded, young, and ambitious people whether in sports science, in analytics, to come in, learn from the best and be the best. I think that's very important. And the challenge is whether we are able to attract this talent to the fraternity, not just to LCS. And they see that, hey, I can be an analyst, I can be a video analyst, in football, and I'll come in and I'll grow, I'll learn, and maybe even opportunity to go to other clubs all over the world to be even better and bring back that. I think that is one of the challenge that I foresee, because we cannot always depend on foreigners coming in, especially our academy side, because we have many coaches. So we need to make sure that we grow the capability among the local coaches so that we can be at that level. I think with that, I think it will help the fraternity, the Singapore football a lot.
And I can assure you, Chun-Liang is speaking the truth. Because Daniel, who is a video analyst with the club, was a lifelong Home United fan when I used to do work for Home United many years ago. And now to see him, I was at Jalan Besar. He's one of the data analysts with the team. I think that speaks volumes, right?
It's certainly. I'll tell you what, I'll jump in very quickly as well, because Adi Saleh used to be a goalkeeping coach, and he's been converted into an analyst as well. It's great to see the club taking care of its people, Chun-Liang.
Yeah, and I think what is important is the coaches, the analysts, the people must be able to break away from the old mental model and be able to take the next step, acquire the next bound of knowledge, and to be good. And what we do is we invest in them. We brought them to like Daniel. We brought him to Borussia Dortmund. He get to see how the best is doing. We work with the vendors, with Huddle. We do lessons. They want to take up courses. We push them. And today they're also learning with some of the analysts, the Korean analysts, Kim Yong-Kwang. Yes. So we need all of them to learn and pick up the best knowledge so that they can be at the next level and not just be where they are today.
I think it's fascinating that the duty that LCS serves is clearly far beyond just the football pitch, right? Not just for the fans, but to grow the ecosystem within locals as well. Fantastic to hear. Chun-Liang, just very quickly before we wrap up, this is a show for the fans. We know we've got the listeners and viewers listening in. We want to know what they can expect on the pitch as well as off the pitch in 2022.
I guess we will continue to play exciting football. I think that's a given. And I'm sure with the players that we have, we will play exciting football. And of course, with all the other teams getting a fantastic player, I'm sure this season of SPL will be exciting. And something that we want to do is really, maybe to up the ante a bit, is really in terms of match day experience. Last year, we added things, we have flames coming out and things like that. So we are looking at improving the match day experience. Unfortunately, you can't have F&B. Otherwise, having F&B, will be perfect,
Yeah, it would be brilliant.
So yes, match the experience. And the other part is also about fan engagement. We want to look after our fans. We want to, reward our fans for supporting us whenever we can. We try to have exclusive event for fans, but that really will be subjected to, to the situation that we are in. Yeah, so that's something that we expect. And of course, the new training center at Mata Road. So it's going to be up and running mid of the year.
Wow.
It's open to public on the second floor. They can come and look, and we will have world-class facility. And that's where we will push our envelope even further. And not forgetting the youth and the youth development part. Again, we'll be sending our youth teams, the 2 batches this time, to Europe and also to the region, maybe to be announced, like exciting place in Europe, where we can benchmark them against the best. And last but not least, is about us also reaching out and also contributing to the fraternity and also to the community. I think that's something that we want to do a lot more this year.
I think a perfect way to. Oh, sorry, you're gonna go. Come on, man.
One final question
way to end things off. But Roshan's gonna spoil it. Go ahead, man.
No, there's a lot of excitement about Maxime Lestienne. We know he's arrived. We know he's cleared quarantine. Is there going to be an unveiling? Fans are asking amongst social media, is there going to be unveiling against Hougang or something? Can you give us that?
I'll say that for him to make it for the first game a bit tough. Because he came from Europe, he has to settle down, jet lag. There's a need to do medical. There's still the yo-yo test. There's a need for him to, to get up to speed in terms of fitness, in terms of understanding the tactical and the technical aspect. So first game, maybe a bit tough. Let's try the second game.
not so bad, right, Rosh? I didn't ruin it, right?
No, you were great, man. I'm just kidding, man. Don't worry about it. Are we good now, though? Are we good now?
Yeah, we are. All yours.
On that note, I think we're safe to end. We're running out of time as well. We're pretty much out of time for this week's episode. The Chief Executive Officer of the Lion City Sailors, Chun-Liang. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to speak to us about the club.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, we look forward to a wonderful season and more time to chat with both of you in the future.
Yeah, we'll try and get you and Desmond, and we'll do it in a pub somewhere.
In a pub, yes.
Could get interesting.
Second floor of the new training facility, hosting people, right? Maybe we can do something there.
perhaps. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you've been enjoying the content that we've been putting out on the Rated RR podcast, please continue to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help it grow as we try and put out more and more content on Singapore football, just to help the game develop in the country. Thanks for listening in. That's all the time we have for this week's episode. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.